statement says. Another one says, marry one person at a time. In other words, you can marry more than one person, but separations and divorces or death has to come in between each marriage. And the last two, brush your teeth and wash your hands to kill germs. Germs make us sick. So the question is, which of these are ideas and which ones are truths?
Truth would be freezes at 32 degrees, 2 plus 2 is 4, and that's it.
So these are truths, and the others are ideas. What is your name again? Dan.
I was going to say the same thing.
The same as Mark. Okay. Yeah, idea.
I would actually add that wash hands to kill germs. That is technically a lie too.
So,
Technically a lie.
a lie.
We always have germs on our hands. They don't always make us sick. Some germs are good.
How about if I alter this to say, kill as many germs as possible?
Well, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes germs actually make us stronger. Because like the antibiotics we have for our hands, we just wash and wash and wash, and it doesn't always affect us. That's effective all the time.
What about this part of the statement? Germs make us sick.
Not all of them. You should say some germs. So some germs that make us sick.
Bad germs. So does that make it a truth or an idea?
Well, it would be true, because there are germs that make us sick.
David.
2 plus 2 will be idea.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
2 plus 2 equal 4, that will be idea.
This is an idea, not a truth?
Yeah. Because and then
Oh, why? Did you give an explanation why it's an idea?
I can say 1 plus 1 is 3, and maybe that's a universal number or whatever.
1 plus 1 equals 3?
I don't know. Jesus made universal noise from humans. So.
Technically, it's just a symbolic saying of 2 plus 2. Like, 2 does not always have to be 2. We could say a made-up name like Kaya. It could mean 2. It just means here, you have 2.
How about 2 dogs plus 2 dogs equals 4
But
dogs?
this and this and this and this together, it's, yeah, you could say that.
And now it's a truth or an idea?
It's true,
All right.
because you have, like,
4 dogs.
a rose by any other name is still a rose, basically.
And dogs are dogs.
Well, I was going to say that technically the way that everything is written, it is all language and the way that we communicate with people. It's all technically.
Can you hear her over there?
Yeah.
They can't hear you, but they're dying to hear what you want to say.
Technically, everything that's written up there is an idea because of the language that it's written in. But the actual scientific fact of these. Oh, okay. Yeah, but it's the same kind of thing as what Ivy was saying, is that you can still have, like, you can still have 2 things plus 2 things is always going to equal 4 things regardless of whatever it is, but the actual 2 is just a symbol, it's just part of
And the symbol is a truth or an idea?
the symbol itself is an idea, but the actual mathematical property of it, I guess, would be.
I see. Scott?
I want to say that cheating is wrong with that idea. In some sense, like when cheating in class, that can be wrong, and sometimes when cheating in terms of life and death, that can be acceptable.
You mean, if I cheat in some way and that results in saving your life, then cheating is okay in that circumstance. Assuming we want you to live. Because maybe you did something really bad, and then, but anyway, I understand. Jack, Jack, Carly.
Yeah. So water treats that way too. That kind of catches for you up here. Yeah. We all know sure water created that the truth, but like, how do we know that number? Like, we made that number up a long time ago, so in some ways that part is an idea.
Yeah, so your comment sounds a lot like Rebecca's comment. Something about these squiggly lines on the board that are ideas that represent truth.
Yeah, it's like the idea is based off of truth. Like,
The idea is based off of truth. Do you agree with that, Rebecca? All right. And Christian? No. Sorry. Your name is. You're gonna really make me suffer. It's not Christian, Joanne.
You tried that one before. Laura.
Laura.
I think they're all ideas.
Even these two.
Yes,
And the germs?
yes. Because we were raised to believe that, like, these come from, like, logical reasoning, but it's still just an idea. In my head, that sounds right.
Okay, and Charlie.
They're all ideas because it's basically broken down like this. If you believe that 2 + 2 is 4 and I believe that 2 + 2 is 4, then it's true. Because we shared the same idea that it's true.
And this goes a little bit beyond what Rebecca and Carly were saying. You go even farther. You don't care whether it's symbols. The point is that you and I and almost everyone else agrees that this is true, and that makes it an idea. And Chris?
The whole 2 + 2 = 4 thing is a truth.
Is,
I mean, it's a truth. I have yet to find anyone who doesn't believe in it and says 2 + 2 = 5, and suddenly it spontaneously creates another pen.
I'm sorry, I missed the last part. I'm sorry.
Like Charlie was saying, if somebody believes 2 + 2 = 5 is true, that does not mean 2 pens + 2 pens will suddenly spontaneously generate a 5th pen.
What do you think about that, Charlie? You and I agree that 2 + 2 is 4, but Chris says somewhere out there in the universe that we all live in, it's just not true.
Well, if a group of people make a different number system, then it can be true.
Well, you all know the answer because you read the chapter, and in the chapter, you see, this is where I get this stuff from, I don't make it up out of thin air. In the chapter that we read, the author explains that all of these are ideas, and that, so it's a trick question. Because culture, you know, that is the topic we're studying. Culture, according to our author, is about ideas. And one aspect, one component of ideas is truth. And well, let me just write them on the board before we give any discussion and explanation, and before we assess the author's arguments. So the author is saying that culture is, Mark, you have the book open, read the definition. It first appears in chapter, what is it, 6?
Culture is the second pattern of social organization, like social structure is
Yeah,
developed.
that's all, fill in time. What is the definition there? Very good, brief definition that he gives at the start.
Culture is a perspective on the world that people come to share as they interact.
Aha, culture is a perspective. And a perspective is the idea. Culture is a way of looking. A way of understanding. A perspective is an idea, in short. And the author then goes on, what are the components of ideas? I already told you one is truth, truths. You know the others, right? At this point, we're simply.
Values?
Right, values. And the author makes a distinction between values and something else that's very similar to values.
Norms,
Norms, goals. And norms. Am I leaving anything out? Aren't those the three elements of perspectives, ideas?
Oh, is norms the same thing as rules?
As rules, yeah.
which one would social inheritance fall under?
Oh, that's his explanation of, anyone know? Why does he have that little section there called social inheritance?
It's the way we inherit the culture that we have. And why?
Yeah, here's the example. All of these things on the board, you've heard them since you can remember. And so you inherit, we all inherit these statements. We inherit these commands, these directives. We inherit them. Just like we inherit, when you walked into this classroom on the first day of class, when you walked into any classroom at RIT, you behaved in certain ways. Did you walk up to the front of the room and hang out up here by the board? And have the professor on the back and say, "Hi, my name's Joe, nice to meet you. I want to make sure we're going to have a cool class together this quarter." No, you don't do that. What do? You come in and sit down. And before you talk, you raise your hand. You inherited these rules of operation as a student in the classroom. That's his point. So we create these ideas and then you people inherit them. Isn't that, did that answer your question? So it's not a component of ideas, it's how ideas are passed on. How they work, and they work by the fact that we inherit them. They're already made out of social interaction. This is the key word, isn't it, on this whole chapter, on the whole course. Social interaction is what creates all of these. Some you have called truths, whatever you want to call them, they are a result of social interaction. Now the author doesn't want you to call them ideas or truths. He wants you to understand that they are all ideas because they all emerge out of social interaction. Now you can understand, can't you? Can't you understand that this here statement, don't work as hard as management says. So imagine you go into a workplace. You're a new worker, and management says, I want you to do 500 lines of code a day. I want you to take 700 pictures a day, or I want you to treat 30 patients a day, or I want you to make 50 gadgets a day. That's what management tells you. But then you work a couple of days with your coworkers, and then you get the point. Sometimes they tell you explicitly, other times they tell you in less explicit ways that no, we don't make 50 gadgets a day here. We make 30 or 35. Now you can understand, can't you, understand that this idea is something that emerges out of human social interaction. You go into the workplace already exists. Workers have been sitting or standing side by side for years and years and years. And from that experience of standing next to one another, working with each other, they develop some ideas. And one idea could be, don't work as hard as management says. You could go into a different workplace, and the idea is, work as hard as you can. It depends on the workplace. So I think, do you understand? Let's make sure you understand this example as emerging out of social interaction at the workplace. Can you accept that as an idea emerging out of social relations? Is there anyone who wants to challenge that? Okay. But what about this one? Or this one? Or Now that we pleased Ivy, what about this one? Do they come out of social, are they ideas that emerge from social relations? Or are they just facts in the world before humans ever existed and will continue long after humans are gone? Can you understand what I said about this statement, emerging from social relations? Does it apply to this one as well? I'm sorry, I missed you the first time, Brittany.
Oh, it's okay. I was just gonna say, like, I understand what they're saying with language.
I'm sorry, a little louder and slower.
I understand, like, what people are saying with language and, like, numerical symbolism and everything. But as you were just saying, like, long before humans existed, water still freezes. And whether or not it's at 32 degrees or whatever, it still freezes. Like, that's a fact. And so, I don't know.
So it's harder for you to accept the fact that this